Welcome to the Good Hang podcast for your weekly dose of battery-filling conversation with myself, Ariane, and Julien,
what
your
up?
hosts. And today our very special guest, Samantha Ruberto.
Hi guys.
Yay.
So happy to have you on here. Different vibes today.
Super excited to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure's mine.
I met Sam through my friend V, and we met, I think it was like a cocktail event or something, some type of event. And she just has this magnetism about her. Like she like radiates this feminine energy, which is something that I've been trying to study and look in others because it's something I'd really admire. And yeah, I love that about you. And thank you for bringing all the good vibes to the pod today.
Thank you, my dear. I'm a huge fan of just embracing the feminine energy, and I have a whole technique to help women get there. I have a philosophy behind it too. So
Men too?
Men too. Like, so when it comes to energy, there's masculine and feminine in like men and women, but I find a lot of women, and this is a whole topic, maybe this is the way that we go.
Yeah.
A lot of women in today's society, the go, the busyness of it all, just the social framework, we're living more in our masculine energy. And the way I would describe that is there's almost like a hardness on the outside, and it's protecting the softness within. So through the inner work and through embracing your authenticity, you can actually reverse that. So you become so like connected to your truth and rock solid from like who you are from that aligned place, so that you can be soft, playful, confident, and it it's sort of a magnetism on the outside that attracts things in. So
yes, and people notice. It's like such an interesting thing. So we started talking through, as a spiritual mentor, Samantha has been very valuable in my life because I really relate to that prove it energy, especially when I'm going through different phases of my life where I'm experiencing change and I'm like, okay, now who do I have to prove myself to now? And it's hard to kind of lean back in the attracting instead of constantly proving. And when she said that to me, I was like, no, of course. Like, I feel like I'm constantly proving. And sometimes when I'm facing a decision or trying to start something, whether it's a podcast or a new project, I kind of have to take a step back and say, okay, am I doing this as a like survival tool, or am I doing this as like my creative, loving self of something that's really, speaking to me?
And it's so important to do, like, if you can find that alignment in the beginning and make sure that you're climbing up the right ladder, when you get to the top, you're going to feel good. Versus a lot of people, I think, just in our busyness, go social framework, you just sort of do the next thing, do the next thing. And you haven't given yourself that gift of a pause to really step off of it, look around and say, like, am I going in the right direction?
Well, they say, put your head down and work. Just put your head down. And although it is important, to just put your head down and do the work, if you don't look up, where are you at? Yeah. You're doing all this work and all of a sudden, if when you look up, you're all alone, you realize that you've only been doing this one thing. What about everything else in your life? Your relationships, your relationship with yourself, your body, your mind. Like I definitely resonate with that. And splitting it into masculine and feminine energy, I guess it's kind of like yin and yang.
Exactly.
And so I am a father of 2 daughters. I live in a highly feminine world. I come from a highly masculine world. Growing up, it was a very boy-dominated world that I lived in. And now being in a female-dominated world, tapping into that softer energy, but at the same time, I find we use soft, like masculine is hard, but I find that the feminine energy is just, it's like, it's a love within, and it's, I guess it's hard to explain, but I find the masculine energy of just go only gets you so far, that if you don't nurture, I feel like feminine energy for me in my head or in my heart, it's the nurturing side, which is, it's still go, but there's something that's healing in that energy. Whereas the masculine is a bit more destructive.
And I love that you mentioned that it's hard to explain, because it really is something to experience. And that's the difference. Like, it is this intangible feeling that, in a way, like that go hustle is almost like taking your focus and being like super laser focused. And it's almost like you have blinders on, like you're only going to this one goal. This is what you're doing. Like it's all like just this. But what you don't realize is that you're moving through your life with some blinders when you can actually, through doing the inner work and through releasing some of the armor and some of the beliefs that you may have of hustle or whatever, you can let that go and you can actually make decisions from a more open place. So then there's the combination. You can be focused and I think like, have your goals, like work towards things, but instead of just this, it's like you see more information, you experience more feedback, and it's for sure a more graceful way to be, a more graceful way to live. So that's why I'm so passionate about standing for this and really just helping others really do the work for themselves, because I really do think that when we start with us, be the change, that's how you create the change in the world.
Sure.
And everything makes a difference.
That's cool.
It's interesting because we've had a lot of artists on the pod, and Julian's a musician. So obviously it's a topic that comes back a lot, but because you're talking about when you have goals and you zero in on like, what's the next thing? So it's like, let's say you're performing at a music festival. And then I've noticed what happens a lot with artists is they call like the post-tour depression of like, you're like in this go, go, go. I'm living the artist life. I'm living the artist life. You're kind of look forward to the break because the tour is exhausting. But then the minute the tour hits, you almost like lose all meaning to
when the
your
tour
life.
ends, you mean? You lose all meaning? Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anything that's high focus in sports, for example, anybody who's won a championship in anything, like you have to laser focus to the detriment of everything else. But if there's no balance in, if there's no balance, then you're going to break.
No, but I find it's heartbreaking how, like, let's say, because they're so easy to look up to, like celebrities. Like you look up to celebrities, like they have everything I want. And then you read any celebrity memoir and they're like, I wish everyone could have everything they want so they could see that it's not what it's about. So I'm curious, like, I know you work with a lot of artists, like how would you help them deal with that post excitement so that they're just as happy with their lives when they don't necessarily have something to look forward to?
I love it. And it's not just artists. This can this can really be applicable to anyone because it deals with the roller coaster of life. The highs are high, the lows are low. And a lot of people are on this constant roller coaster. And so one thing you can do from a tangible perspective is notice the mind. So notice the stories that your mind is telling you post-tour or even with anything.
But not just tour, like post-work. I mean,
absolutely everything. So one of my philosophies...
Post-accomplishment.
Post anything. So one of my philosophies is that life is always working out for you, even when you feel like it isn't. And if you find that there's something in life that is triggering you, you want to use your triggers as breadcrumbs to your freedom. So what happens in situations or dynamics, there could be, it could be post-tour, post-accomplishment, and then all of a sudden this wave of what am I going to do next? Oh my gosh, and all of this stuff comes up. The easiest way to sort of workshop it inside is be aware of the stories that your mind is telling you, because the mind is saying those narratives almost like a record in the background without you even realizing it, and creating feelings and creating this cycle of overwhelm, of anxiety, of like what's going to happen. And it kind of creates this low vibrational state. So if you can pop out of it and on your own, it's just like, what are the stories that I'm creating about this situation? Like, I don't know.
When we started talking about journaling, I was
thinking the same thing.
Yeah, journaling. It's that you're describing that kind of jumble of narratives in your head, and whether they're good or bad, it's the jumble that I'm focusing on. And when I journal, it just helps take those things and you exteriorize, and that's, I don't know if it's half the battle, but it's a part of the battle.
Totally. Step one of the battle is awareness. So that journaling's a fantastic tool. I highly recommend it. I have a lot of my clients have a journaling practice every single day just to untangle some of what's going on in our minds. But then step two of that is to actually look at our thoughts and to question, like, is this thought really true? Yes or no? And then, if I believe that it's true, what happens to me on an emotional level? Like, what do I go through? And majority of the time, like life, our experience is completely neutral. There is life that happens, but then there's the meaning that we give it, what we layer on top of it, the lens that we have that we look through the situation, and that makes a difference. That causes our happiness or equally our suffering. And the way that we see the world, like we could have the exact same scenario that we go through, yet you and I, based on our past, based on our subconscious mind and the way that we were raised, we have two different glasses on. You've got red glasses, I see blue glasses. And we look at a situation, I'm like, it's blue. You're like, it's red. I'm like, it's blue, it's red. Like we just experience it differently.
But they can both be true.
They can both be true. But when it comes to limiting beliefs, like we want to make our beliefs and our subconscious, we want our mind on our team versus a defense mechanism to protect us. And this is where most people struggle, is that their minds, their subconscious that was established when you were between the ages of 2 and 8 is almost like a protection mechanism that is absorbed from our parents, from society, from playing it safe and all of these things. So we have all these unconscious rules that are holding us back from going for the things we want. And then so what happens is we have an inner war inside of our bodies. We could want this really amazing goal, or we could want to go do this thing, but then it doesn't necessarily feel safe. So then there's this tug of war inside, and we're internally self-sabotaging, or we start doing something and then, a pattern erupts and then we're back to square one. And this is completely 100% a personal game.
It's funny because I do that like every day, and I have to like check in. And the journaling is like today I use journaling because I was looking at how many things I had to do today, and I get overwhelmed. Like, that's too much. I don't like what I'm doing, And then I write down, is there any of these things almost I would want to eliminate? And I'm like, no. Like I love this. This is gonna go well. I love this. This is gonna go well. And it's just like now that it's in front of me, I'm gonna be okay. But so quickly, the story, if I don't write it down, is like, you're doing too much. Everything you're doing, you make no sense. And I just have a really funny example of something that happened this weekend where I was really tired when I traveled to Toronto because I don't know, I couldn't get a good night's sleep. And when I don't have a good night's sleep, I'm not fully functioning. And I guess I was like going through this where I posted stuff on social media and right in the moment got anxiety about it and then delete it. Posted something and delete it. And randomly that day, my friend Dave Mirage, who's a comedian, is just like, hey, how you been? And then I call my friend Michelle and I say, do I look like I'm having a mental breakdown? And she's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, why is he checking in on me? And she was like, of all the people in the world, he's definitely not checking in on you because he thinks you're going crazy.
Having a mental breakdown. But we always think we get caught up in like how we think people think about
Perception.
us, but people don't think about us as much as we think people think about us.
If anything, he was thinking about me and like,
In a good
how's
way.
she doing? Not at all in that story of negativity,
But imagine you use situations like this to slow it down, see what's happening on like what's happening within your system, and then choose an upgraded belief that like people care. It's like people, and then all of a sudden, and you put that in your body, you let that sink in, and you reprogram your unconscious rules. So then you start moving through your life with the belief that people care.
Yes.
Or that, you've got magnetic energy, or you're confident, or you're, people love to be around you. Like whatever it is that you need to reprogram, this is where you energetically upgrade. And then who you are in the world from that upgraded place, all of a sudden, everything opens up. You start seeing more, you attract more, things come in more easily and more flowing. And like I said, it's a much more like easeful and graceful way to live. And so that's like, even when we first met, you're like, what is like this feminine energy, this grace? It's because of the amount of inner work and the amount of different upgrades that I've done personally. And so I really walk the talk and, jump in this because I firmly believe it.
Do you think that people need to have lived a really hard moment in life to realize that they need to get better? Like, is it possible to just not have lived a gut-wrenching or heartbreaking situation and be like, I guess I'm not clear with my question. I'm trying to figure out.
No, but I see what you mean. Like, because most times when you hear,
do you need something horrible
someone
to happen?
or not even horrible, but somewhat of a rock bottom or something that the rug gets pulled from under you, that you're like, okay, this is my sign to make a change.
Or to get in tune with myself?
I feel like it's often what you hear is that there's a trigger to someone taking charge of their life.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need that, but I'm convinced that our hardest moments hold our biggest lessons.
Absolutely.
And if we're willing to let time do its thing, because it's not necessarily easy when you get like punched down and I had a period, like for me, my hard moments were my late teens, early 20s. And it was a period of 5 years where I literally couldn't stand. I'd stand back up, punch me down. I'd stand back up. It was right back down. So I understand what it means to like really be living in darkness. But I don't think you need to know that to get here. But that said, there is a journey of acceptance through all of the range of the emotions. Like, I think that's really what it comes to. It's just accepting who you are as you are in your totality. And that's really the key, So, accepting, like, even for women, like if you have rage or if you're mad or if you have, like, actually allowing yourself to feel it versus just, being a good girl and holding it together and being complacent. Like, there's so much freedom in feeling. And I say feeling because the unconscious is really in the body.
Yeah, not just intellectually interpreting that we're angry, but feeling that we're angry.
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm realizing the difference between being, let's say, physically present and emotionally present. You can be in the same room, you're here, but you're not emotionally here. So I found it very apparent with children. Like, you can be physically present, but if you're not there, they can sense it. They can really, really sense it. And I started getting hard on myself because I was like, I guess that's anxiety. I was like, oh my God, they can sense it. Why can I not be present? Why I'm a bad father? And then at some point I was like, okay, let me just actively try to tune out all the things that are negative for me right now and really zone in on my kids. And it's that separation, and through breath work as well, I think it really helped me realize that, being emotionally present really takes a lot of juice. It takes a lot of energy, but the connection that you create within yourself, but even for the others, I think that's what creates a strong bond and making the other person feel like, this person really cares. But that comes with a lot of, I guess, discipline, mental discipline to kind of like tune out whatever that is unnecessary right now.
It can. And that's in the beginning, like even where it feels like it takes a lot of energy. I really see you in creating that space for your kids. It's beautiful that you're doing that. The more that you process and create the space within yourself, what you do is you actually open up your capacity to hold. And in being able to do that, it actually doesn't take energy at all. I feel like so many people are running around with all of their energy in their minds. It's like all the energy is up here. So it's like they're so disconnected and discombobulated from their bodies. But through feeling emotions and feeling things, you actually, it's almost like a trap door. You open up the door to let the energy go from your over anxious mind. You bring it into your body. You feel what the body's holding. You release things that you've probably accumulated your entire freaking life because we're not given these tools. Like, it's just crazy to me. And
our bodies really, like, they store this stress.
The body is the unconscious.
It's crazy.
You can literally say one thing, the body keeps a score. And it doesn't matter. If you are holding it in your body, it's going to come out. Because the minute, like, you can try to have it together, but the minute that there's a cue of something that hits something in your body, all of a sudden you react, you get mad, you get jealous, you get this, and all these emotions come up because they're trapped in your body. Yeah. So if you can use life and in a safe way, start working through and create that space within your body, and you clear, what happens is you create a deeper sense to be able to hold other people. And, and that's the beautiful thing is that you actually free up all of your energy. Like, this way of living, this relaxed feminine way that I talk about, I'm like the most relaxed version of myself, but it came through like hard work, but it was so worth doing it at this point in my life because I'm going to benefit for the rest of my life from going through and processing and releasing and doing the emotional work that we were just talking about.
It's funny because you said the word when you're trying, but actually when you're really grounded and present, you're not trying. You're not like, I'm going to show up today. Like, if anything, I do journal like, today I'm going to radiate my most magnetic, divine, feminine energy, which is like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just,
exactly, you are.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like a mindset thing. And then I kind of like let it go. Like, I'm not like, this is who I'm going to be today. It's not like today I'm going to act like Megan Fox. Like, it's like, no, today I'm just going to, it's like this thing that I tell myself. And it's funny because then I'll have my first encounter of the day. And yesterday I was at the grocery store and this kid just starts chatting me up like at the grocery store instantly. And it was just, there's so much ease in our conversation. And he just asked me, oh, do you play sports? Like, and it's so funny because people will be with me and they're like, why did just strangers just randomly talk to you all the time? Like, and I'm like, yeah, but I think it's that part of, it's not like I'm asking for it. It's not like I'm putting a mask of like, hey guys, welcome to talk to me. But
you're just being authentic.
This ease and you're just present so people can see that there's space there. And it's funny too, because within that going through stress and this and then you're trying to get to the next thing, you end up missing out on all these puzzle pieces that can serve you later. You know what I mean? Like if you're just like powering through your day, there's like 7 little, maybe it's interactions, maybe it's not even with people, maybe it's just with the thing that was supposed to come into your life, but you miss it, that then is going to reach out to you later. I mean, it sounds crazy.
Think about it. Like how I was in the blinders. It's like you go through like this, you're missing out on what's available in life, and what's available in life. Like miracles happen all of the time, but you have to be open and available to receive miracles.
Sure.
And so, an energy is felt. So, if you carry that good vibration within you, like you're connected to your heart, you're open, the amount of things that have manifested in my life are, it's unbelievable. It's such a, it's blows my mind every single day.
You said something about triggers.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting, I had this discussion with my bandmate, Sasha. If you can't control when you get triggered, right? That's the nature of a trigger. It just happens when you least expect it. And by being able to cultivate that space within you, when you do get triggered, instead of reacting, you go into, oh, I'm triggered. Why am I triggered? What is it that this is, what in this situation is making me feel inadequate, uncomfortable? Like I find the triggers, you said you use them as breadcrumbs. Like it's true. It's almost like fuel. You're like, okay, I'm triggered. What now? Why? What can I do to fix this? Or what can I do to,
well, to not let this trigger me anymore, because there's weight to that. Like I could give you a silly example, like, oh, a guy I have a crush on will say my friend is hot or something. And then it'll trigger some envy, some jealousy of she's something that I'm not. And then I'll start telling the story. But then how do you go about like working on those triggers?
So I love triggers. I'm like, first off, just changing the relationship to triggers is like step number 1. Step number 2 is
good point. Changing your relationship to triggers. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Changing your relationship to anxiety. If you have anxiety, even that's a conversation point, because we're sort of, oh, I have anxiety, like it's a heavy thing. Anxiety is your body communicating to you. It's just, on the wrong radio frequency. You're not listening. So if you could open up and find a way to dial in and listen to your body, there's wisdom there. So number 1, changing the relationship to triggers. Number 2, and this is where mindfulness comes in, having a sense of awareness in the moment, what your physiological reaction is. So you're triggered. What's going to happen is automatically, like so fast, your body is going to go to a response, a fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, where you don't even realize, but you're going through this physiological takeover where you're not actually there. It's just you're in this reaction mode, and it's coming from a survival state. So if you can use your number 1 tool, which we all have, from the first thing we do to the last thing we're going to do before we die, is the breath. Like literally the breath has been with us from day 1, and it's going to be the last thing we're going to do. We have it our entire life. Breathing through the trigger and noticing where in your body, like it's
flaring
coming
up. Yeah,
exactly. So flaring up, is it a fire in your stomach? Like that's going to help you slow down and create a little bit of space for a response. And then what I would say, like if you're in an instant with someone where the trigger's there, you want to kind of remove yourself if you can without reacting, and then do the inner work on it in the back end. And what's going to happen, and this is where I help a lot of my clients, is we use your life. We use your direct experience of what's coming up in your day-to-day life as clues or breadcrumbs to help you free yourself from because you think it's that thing. You think it's
Yes.
that boy. You think it's this thing. And the reaction is to point a finger at them. But really, nobody can make you feel a certain way. But what they can do is knock on something that's already there. So in a way, it's like, okay, what is this knocking on? And let's get curious about, okay, what mindset, like what stories are there? What emotions come up? Where do you experience it in your body? And then through various techniques that I'm trained in, I guide my clients to different times in their life where all of a sudden, they'll be 4 years old and they'll be, in their kitchen and they'll spill the milk, and then their parents will come and they'll yell at them, and, and it's real, it's alive, it's living as if it was yesterday. They don't even remember. So then we go through, we do inner child healing, we reprogram, we integrate that stuck energy. And then all of a sudden they breathe lighter and they take a deep breath. They're like, oh my God, the heaviness that I had on my shoulders, it's gone. Like I had back pain, but it's completely relieved. And so I think also, it's going to be very exciting because this type of inner work, absolutely, it's coming up in healing for the physical body too. Like everything is tied. And there's a lot of, studies coming out too, just how connected that they are. So
interconnectedness. It's really like we view ourselves as, let's say, this is me right now, and the me of when I was, let's say, 3 years old or 4 years old. It's like that's a whole different person, but it isn't. I'm that same person.
Yeah.
I did this guided meditation that I saw on Oprah, and it was Questlove, the drummer for The Roots, that said that this meditation had changed his life. It was like a 7-minute thing. And I was like, okay, you know what? I have 7 minutes. I should have 7 minutes. So I did this and I followed it. And it was, I forget what the name of the person was, but essentially he said, close your eyes and picture yourself in your family home when you were a kid at a happy time, or if it wasn't a happy time, it's okay. Just go back to being 4 or 5 years old, and go back as you now and visit that house and take that child, and you talk to your parents or whoever the guardian at the time was, and you say, hey, I'm going to take this child now. Thank you for everything that you've done. But this is my child now. And it's essentially you taking yourself into your life and saying, you're safe now. This is us. This is our life. And look at, this is where we live and this is what we do. And I find that cultivating a friendship with your own inner child for me, was very life-changing, and in being in acceptance and in understanding yourself.
I think compassion as well. Like there's something there to, we go through life and we're so hard on ourselves. Like we're putting up walls so that people won't make us upset. And then we're hard on ourselves. And then I think it all starts with compassion, where you can have compassion. If you can have compassion with yourself first and like, let it go, then you're able to give that to your parents, give that to everyone who may trigger you. And then all of a sudden life is that much easier and smoother to.
Yeah. And Carl Jung said, or I'm bastardizing this probably, but where your fear lies is where your work lies. And I interpret that as the triggers.
Yeah,
it's
really.
Like where it is that you fear that something bad is going to happen, or you don't know. I'm not saying like run into danger. It's just more like, taking the time to go, why do I fear this? What is it that I fear? What does it trigger in me that makes me feel inadequate or incapable? Or, but I mean, it's what a ride it's been.
It's so beautiful to bring it to the surface, because that's one thing, like shame, which is like beneath all of us in different ways. It's like the protectors that you will have around your shame. You will literally like burn down like it causes so much wrath in our lives. Like, and we don't even realize when it's happening, how it can damage relationships, how it can sabotage career, like how it can just come up in so many indirect ways. So if you can, use these breadcrumbs, use these triggers to kind of go back. And one thing I tell my clients, and it's so fun to do, I'm like, judge it. Like if anything's done, like, let's judge it. Let's I'm
Let's
like, Miss Sheila,
actively
let's
judge
judge
it.
it. Like, what do you want to say? And I let them and I'm like, keep going. And I have so much fun just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. No shame, fully there. We get to the core of it. We do the healing work. And then they're like, oh my God. Like, have I been carrying this my whole life? I'm like, yep. And they're like, how did I know? How did I not know? I'm like, the mind's
really good at
man's a motherfucker. Like, I don't know if it's fair, but the mind is like the mind is so strategic in, keeping all that energy up here, keeping things like here. And it's trying to keep you safe, but it's like, it's limiting you from living your very best life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've got this like one ride in this lifetime, depending on your beliefs. It's like, why not just go for it fully? So
I love that. And I mean, I could tell you're so passionate by what you do. And I even had my own experience to see the power that you can have from this conversation, for us to allow ourselves to see the world bigger, broader, and all the opportunities, really, really open our eyes to everything that's accessible to us. I'm curious through your work, like, what is it that makes you really love like what you do and have this aha moment that like, wow, I am having an impact?
I'm just so genuinely inspired by life. Like, I just find life so beautiful. I think it's amazing. I love the totality of it, like all of the range of emotions. So to be able to help people navigate their inner worlds and kind of tap into that feeling too, where your inner world is way more beautiful than even what you see on the outside. Like that, for me, that really lights me up, because I've, dedicated. I'm really grateful that I was put on a path where, a decade ago at 27, I reached the top of a ladder, very successful. And I just realized that this isn't it. It's like there was an emptiness to the life I had been living. And I had the courage back then to literally break it all down, travel around the world, learn all these things for myself. Like, I've invested in tools galore, experiences galore, traveled to 80 countries. Like, I've fallen so deeply in love with this existence. And I really do see it as something that is important in the world, because we're so disillusioned, I guess, by being, sort of like, we're like looking at the wrong things. We think happiness comes through material possessions or, achieving that goal one day or doing that. And I'm like, no, happiness is here right now, but we just have to be able to open our hearts, our eyes, see from here to really experience it. So
very interesting.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you very, very much.
And the podcast goes by so quickly, but one last question I'd like to ask you is, what are you calling into your life for the next few months, the next year?
I'm calling in adventure, more adventure. Just and really, I had a life actually surprised me recently. I haven't even really shared this, but I had a crazy manifestation like 2 weeks ago, and not even on my radar. But I got a scouted for by A24 for a feature film. And I was like, wait, what? Like, it is something totally random. Yeah, this is like so, but I don't know if it's going to go through, but it's just one of those, and it's like it's huge. And I'm like,
A24?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
No, it's like insane. And I was just like, wait, what? So it's just one of those in terms of manifestation, because this is like there's like a set role, and there's like huge actors. Like, it's a huge feature film that's going to be coming out, next year. And I was just like, wait, what? So that was just a reminder. I don't know if it's going to go through or not, but just that manifestation alone, I was just like, wait, what? Like,
and
anything
opening
is possible.
your horizon. You don't know. You know where, put your head down and work and go that way. But if you keep your head down, you don't look up, you won't be able to.
Energy.
It's this idea that it's orbiting around you and it's not going to miss you. And I really love that, because sometimes you feel like you're proving, and then you're going to get nothing I've ever manifested that was big came from me, like
directly
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn.
Let me manifest this. Here's the job description.
But the thing is, like, in terms of like the destination,
Yes.
the journey, it's like, was so elated by this event. Like, at first I didn't think it was real. Then when I realized, like, I did all the research, I'm like, wait, what? I was just like so blown away by just the miracles of life. I'm just like, this is insane. It just, and I'm a very open person. My mind just went to different stratospheres with this one. So we'll see. So I'm just calling in like those type of experiences.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so excited excited to follow your
should be
journey.
proud.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. What a great hang.
Great hang.